Hey everyone, so this video is about social media manager roles and how do you really start preparing for them. So let's just dive right into this. By first understanding what the day-to-day responsibilities of a social media manager are really, right? Let's look at the best way to do this is to look at an actual job description. So let's do that. Okay, so this is a current opening. This is a company called Better India, and what it does is it's actually a platform. They call themselves a solutions-focused platform to help small businesses get access to larger consumer markets. So people who are not very well resourced and don't have companies and people who have not had the opportunity of reaching out to the larger consumer market as such. It's a platform for such people. So there's definitely a social angle, a cause angle to this. If you look at the Facebook page, also it echoes this fact. Now, if you look at the job description, it will talk about a lot of things. And what we've done is we've kind of looked at this and condensed it into 6 or 7 very important elements which are part of any job description, right? So the first thing is guided content creation. Okay, so what happens is that if you know it so it because a lot of the content that gets generated in today is geared towards social media, right? The and it's that's where the amplification happens. So it in smaller companies, what happens is that a social media manager is also doubling up as the person who is guiding the content creation. And this could be in any form. It could be in blog post, it could be a poll, it could be video, it could be a podcast. So because it's all geared towards social media, the social media manager kind of doubles up as the guiding force for the content creation, building a community. Right now, this is something which not everyone can actually is good at. Okay, because it's one thing to do interesting posts and videos. It's another thing to try and develop a community where people are actively contributing, and because for you to do that, you have to have that mindset of actually sitting back and letting others talk and doing things which encourages them to speak up, and stepping it at the right time. So that kind of community management skill is tough to get, honestly. But especially in a platform like Better India, this is important. Okay. Influencer marketing, another not so very easy skill, which is when you talk about influencer marketing, we are talking about how can they actually, how can a brand like Better India, right, uh, get visibility with influencers, and that happens on social media today, right, and especially on Twitter. Uh, and that could mean, and it's invisibility with respect to, and that that practically the way that happens is that you try and you start following the influencers, you start you start liking what they're doing, you start commenting on their posts, you basically try and get visibility for the brand. And it's a tough thing to do, right? But the success, the results of the success in influencer marketing are tremendous. And it's a lot more than the day-to-day social media marketing that you do. Social listening, yes. So for especially for a platform like this, social listening would mean reaching out. There are many social listening tools today in the market which help you to identify the tweets and messages which are talking about your brand. So this is, although we are talking with you, we're talking about showing you the fan page, but the social listening has to happen across platforms, blog posts, really all over the web. So that's the skill there is to understand which are the important mentions that have to be responded ASAP, and which are the mentions where you actually need to get someone else in the company to respond to. So those are the things which matter when it comes to social listening. Working with paid media budgets, uh, that is getting increasingly important because the whether it is Facebook or Twitter, all of these platforms want you to spend a little bit, and it's becoming very difficult to develop a community and a following without actually having without not spending anything at all. So if you are a social media manager, you have to have a good sense of how do you actually manage paid budgets. Awareness of new channels. Uh, Facebook, Twitter, yes, but increasingly there are other interesting platforms, maybe not so relevant for Better India, but for example, there is TikTok, right? If you're a fun gossip movie, that kind of a brand, then TikTok becomes, it's good that you know about how you can manage TikTok. And I mean, there are others like that, like Snapchat, which people don't really understand how to manage. So if you're the guy uh, who can understand what the specialities of each of these platforms are and what is the best way, every you see every brand is different. So what is the best way that you can actually leverage these platforms, right? Then you would be a good asset. Reading analytics reports, because you're at the managerial level. See what really differentiates a manager from the others is that you you have to manage a team of people, and the other bit is that you have to take decisions based on data, and for that you need to be able to understand analytics reports. So yes, so these are really the day-to-day responsibilities for a social media manager. Now let's look at the next bit. So now we understood what it is. It's very important to understand what is a job description like before you start preparing for it, right? So this is in front of you. This is it, right? This is what social media a manager does day in and day out. Now let's step back and say, okay, what when you look at job descriptions, what is the kind of qualification and background which is required? Okay, and we have this one right now. You will see that the Better India profile is actually asking for 4 to 5 years of experience in social media management, ability to communicate well, which is obvious that they would look for someone like this. Uh, we actually found a very good article, and actually let me just pull that up. Okay, so this is skills and traits that you require to be that a social manager typically has, and it's nicely laid out. So we're looking at this. We thought we'll take this up. So the one of the first things is copywriting. Okay? Without any doubt, this is an important, the ability to articulate, the ability to understand how to put across something in an interesting manner, right? Because 80% of the time, what you're doing on social media is not directly related to your brand. It's really market driven. It's really understanding what is it that people would like to share in your category. So copywriting, being able to articulate things well is important. Design, right? And just like to say that a lot of us have the uh, sometimes have this mindset that we are not so design oriented, we are not so creative oriented. Well, there's great news for such people because there are so many tools in the market which help you with templates and ideas and just like starting boards for you to start building design graphics and video. So don't hold back if you have that mindset. Yes, so it is important, but the fact that there's so many tools out there makes the job a lot more easier. Okay, and video especially, it's going to be the like de facto, right? It's going to be a de facto asset content type in the future. So it's good if you have your hands around it. Okay. Uh, Public speaking, well, this is more for an international market, international audience. That's why public speaking is mentioned here. In India, I would say it's more about the ability to articulate things well. So that's what is important, right? Moving on, customer service, community engagement. So here's the thing, right? If and we spoke about that it is a tough thing to do. So if you are from that background, if you have spent some time in customer service, right? If you have been in events and you have been dealing with communities, it's a good asset, right? It's a good previous experience to see on the resume for social media managers. Behavioral psychology, okay, interesting one. If see you see uh, what has happened is that a wide array of people are now applying for social media managers. It's not necessary that, like, the Better India profile did say 4 5 years of experience in social media management, but if you can make it up in some by in any of these things, right? Suppose you have a good, you've been in a retail environment, or if you have been in customer service for a couple of years and you understand how to really engage with people. So those are things which can easily cover up lack of experience in core social media management, right? Analytics, because because you're a manager, it goes without saying that analytics is one of the key prerequisites. Budgeting, yeah. So so going back, okay, what we've actually done is, let's look at we've identified 6 or 7 profiles, and which will be, let's look at the kind of journey that they have before they became social media managers. Give you good insight into what is it that what is the background which is typically required, and which helps you to excel in a social media manager profile. So this profile is interesting because 2015, right? Coming from a movie assistant director, so movie background, and then getting into social media. So this is in 2006, 15. He started, and then within 3 years, he's a social media manager at the HW News Network, working at Culture Machine, uh, in between. So good rise. And one of the things here is which is helping is the background in the creative arts, right? So which is movies, right? And also getting into being a executive, social media executive for a YouTube channel pretty early on, right? Because if you are managing a YouTube, if you're a social media manager for a YouTube channel, it requires you to be have an extra edge in managing visual media. Okay, so yes, this is one interesting profile. The other one is this one, right, uh, which shows that which starts from so July 2010, 8 years back. So content writer, right? So starting from content writer and copywriting, moving from a digital agency, from a web design kind of a company to a company which is uh, into like a more hardcore profile with respect to social media manager, right? Being a social media manager. So the common thread here, the way that that she has started is copywriting, and that's what has helped her get into the social media manager profile, right? Okay, the next one. uh, October 2013, store manager. So this is interesting, right? So the start is at a retail level. We're coming back to the point that we were making earlier. If you have been in that retail kind of environment, you understand why people buy, what people buy, how can you engage with them, and that goes a long way when you're trying to for social media, and that helps in social media, right? So Baby Chakra, social media manager, right, in 5 years, right? The retail manager, store manager in 2013, and in 5 years, a social media manager, Baby Chakra, leading e-commerce site. Okay, next. Uh, so this is interesting because starting from finance, okay, finance analyst, and then moving on to event manager, and so the first thing here is to remember that it's never too late to switch. Okay, your experience is always going to be useful in some way. Now, in this case, it may not be very apparent how a project finance analyst can actually help in a social media manager scenario, but there in any case there are things like people management and communication skills and some domain skills you should pick up in any job. So it's never too late to do something which is of your interest and something which you love. So here the start is with an event manager, and then moving on to content, and then to a digital agency, and then getting back into marketing. Okay, so and you can see that the person has moved from events to digital marketing, which is which would involve social and digital, right? So this is also a good way to move around. Okay, so this profile she started with at the HR executive level, and then moved on to a business manager social media at a leading digital agency, SMG Colonics. So coming back to the point which we had discussed, if you're an HR, you deal with a lot of people, and you automatically, you have that knack of understanding what what is it that drives people, right? And if you have that flair in you, and if you tap it well, you can do well in social media. And so a lot of in terms of switching from a certain domain to social media, a lot of HR guys do it, a lot of sales guys do it, a lot of events guys do it. This is an example of an HR profile person doing it, right? Okay. Interview questions. Yeah, so what gets asked at the interview stage? One is the knowledge of newer platforms, because it's like a symptom of curiosity, right? So if you're curious, you would do it. So I mean, no one's going to really ask you the specifics, like what is the character limit for a post in a new platform, or that's I mean, those are not things which get asked, but it's really your awareness of things which are happening around you, and especially because it's social media, there's so much happening. Yeah, tracking KPIs, analytics. At the managerial level, this is what differentiates, because this is going to your ability to take decisions is based on your ability to read data. So that's why this gets asked a lot. Best practices and differences in approach, and by this we mean that because every platform is different, your your understanding of how Facebook versus Twitter versus TikTok or Snapchat, or what is the best, what are the best practices, and what are the differences in approach, right? Which across these platforms, and there has to be a difference in approach for all these platforms. Team management, articulation skills. So these are things which get checked, which get probed at the entry stage. If you like the video, and if you're interested in the job role driven courses at Learning Catalyst, which are completely customized to the kind of objective career objective that you have. Because what happens is that there's an initial assessment test to first of all see adaptability for the roles. And once it's determined that okay, yes, this is a good option for you, okay, then there is a customized course, a live project, and counseling to help you prepare for these roles, and post course support in interviews and selection. So it's completely objective driven. So if you're interested in these, please feel free to get in touch with us, and we'll let you know how we can help you. Thank you.